fast, crossing county lines just to make my name in the city. Took everything, put it on the line, cause I never break or back down. One shot is do or die.
Welcome to the bottom of the bottom, me and Sin Solemn. If I saw him and I had to get him, yeah, I probably got him. Going to boost to mix up the solution. I am such a problem, crazy goon and gone up that pollution with a group of goblins, super choppers, and they hoot and holler when we scooping dollars, things and partners. But if you started, we gon' finish it. Welcome to the wild side, you know what the business is.
I'm a boss, I'm a king, I reign on the top. I'm a boss, I'm a king, I cannot be stopped. I'm a boss, I'm a king, I reign on the top. I'm a boss, I'm a king, I cannot be stopped. I'm a boss, I'm a king, I reign on the top. I'm a boss, I'm a king, I cannot be stopped. I'm a boss, I'm a king, I reign on the top. I'm a boss, I'm a king, I'm a boss, I'm a I am a king on the throne and I'm running the kingdom with all my ability, using my strength and agility. Money.
Put your hands up, everybody know that. Don't hold back, got you on go jack. Go DJ, that's my DJ. Party on replay, party on replay.
Welcome to the bottom, me and Sin Solemn. If I saw him and I had to get him, yeah, I probably got him. Going to boost to mix up the solution. I am such a problem, crazy goon and gone up that pollution with a group of goblins, super choppers, and they hoot and holler when we scooping dollars, things and partners. But if you started, we gon' finish it. Welcome to the wild side, you know what the business is.
Been running fast, crossing county lines just to make my name in the city. Took everything, put it on the line, cause I never break or back down. One shot is do or die.
I'm a boss, I'm a king, I reign on the top. I'm a boss, I'm a king, I cannot be stopped. I'm a boss, I'm a king, I reign on the top. I'm a boss, I'm a king, I cannot be stopped. I'm a boss, I'm a king, I reign on the top. I'm a boss, I'm a king, I cannot be stopped. I'm a boss, I'm a king, I reign on the top. I'm a boss, I'm a king, I'm a boss, I'm a I am a king on the throne and I'm running the kingdom with all my ability, using my strength and agility. Money.
Put your hands up, everybody know that. Don't hold back, got you on go jack. Go DJ, that's my DJ. Party on replay, party on replay.
Been running fast, crossing county lines just to make my name in the city. Took everything, put it on the line, cause I never break or back down. One shot is do or die.
Welcome to the bottom, me and Sin Solemn. If I saw him and I had to get him, yeah, I probably got him. Going to boost to mix up the solution. I am such a problem, crazy goon and gone up that pollution with a group of goblins, super choppers, and they hoot and holler when we scooping dollars, things and partners. But if you started, we gon' finish it. Welcome to the wild side, you know what the business is.
Put your hands up, everybody know that. Don't hold back, got you on go jack. Go DJ, that's my DJ. Party on replay.
the kingdom with all my ability, using my strength and agility. Money, power.
Crossing county lines just to make my name in the city. Took everything, put it on the line, cause I never break or back down. One shot is do or die.
Put your hands up, everybody knows that. Don't hold back, got you on go jack. Go DJ, that's my DJ. Party on replay, party on replay.
Thank you so much for, I hope everyone can hear me. Can you guys hear me okay? Thank you so much for attending the Black Wealth Matters educational series about sports. We have a special guest today. All of our guests are special, and I'm really excited about the passion that our next guest has. But before we talk about the next guest and his area of expertise, I do want to just focus on the wealth part of this Black Wealth Matters educational series. So my name's Saria Rigo. Where the series came about was back in 2020, my team and I, the founders of the Black Wealth series, we were out protesting and really trying to make sure that we were adding some change where we could in response to the murder of George Floyd. And we started looking at what was our special sauce, what did we know where we could really add value. And during that time, I started reading about just capitalism and money and history. And then I saw that when you came to America and capitalism, it really focused on slavery. And then fast forward, I just started seeing all the atrocities that were happening, that were financial and violent and really directed towards Black communities, or as one of the original freedom fighters calls us, descendants of the emancipated. And as a result, I shared that with the team, and they thought, you know what, let's do a history series about how systemic racism affects Black wealth. And so this is our third year, and this is the fifth subject, which covers sports. So you guys, I'm going to really quickly talk about who we are and why we're doing this presentation in terms of the financial sector and what I think we can add and create. And then we'll have Coach John Mosley in. And I am so happy that we're going to do an interview, because I did not realize how tiny my picture was at the bottom. That is too tiny for me. So let's get started. So I am Saria Rigo. I'm a financial professional with a company called World Financial Group. And I've been with several different companies. The reason why I'm with this particular company is because our foundation is education, and we can work with people besides the wealthy. Now, when I'm looking at where I want the Black community to go, if systemic racism has attacked us through poverty, I obviously want us to build wealth. But however, let's keep it super real. In history, when we've done that, we've been bombed, we've been lynched, we've had all these different things happen. And because there's such an attack on knowing history, you know, I feel like we need to keep having these conversations. So today, I'm going to quickly talk about who the company is. And what I would love for you guys to do is just set some time with me if you want to know more, because I'm going to go through this really quick. But at the end of the day, we're helping people learn how to plan for their future in spite of systemic racism. But we're also helping people get in the financial sector and build businesses. And we're also teaching people those non-tangibles that are very important to success. I have a degree in finance, and I was never taught people skills. I was never taught being open to learning. I was never taught coachability, which coach probably insists on his players having. I was never taught all those things that are very important for people to have if they want to be successful. So what's great about our company here is that we're not a university, but we're teaching people those soft skills. in addition to helping create generational wealth by helping people understand the difference between stocks, bonds, and mutual funds, capital gain taxes, ordinary income taxes, and then helping them pass that on to their family in their future. But in terms of our business opportunity, right now in America, people need to understand products. They need to have some guidance and service. So we have that. We're teaching people to be that expert and give guidance to their family and their community. We also have a great platform. You don't have to reinvent the wheel here. There's powerful compensation. We think the timing couldn't be better. 2020 really showed people that they have to plan for themselves. And we have strong core values because everyone's not money motivated. And if you guys just really quick look at the stats, 38% of households have credit card debts. I want to say 49% of people are living paycheck to paycheck. The problem is that doesn't matter how much you make. Does that make sense? It doesn't matter how much you make if you're living paycheck to paycheck. Wealthy people can live paycheck to paycheck too. So often, especially in Black communities, we think that we can out-earn our financial ignorance. We can't. We have to grow and learn how to deal with the money that we have, because America is creating stress. It's creating stress for families. They're living with too much debt. They don't know how to plan for their future. They don't have strategies. And the average financial company doesn't really want those types of clients. And what it creates is a lack of hope and stress. And we all know that stress is dangerous. It can hurt you physically. So as a company, we're helping those middle income families create wealth. So you guys, I am already ready to hear Coach John Mosley. I'll put my link in and I'll have one of these that's a lot longer, I promise. But I just want you guys to know that I can talk about money all day. And if you need some financial help, just schedule some time with me. I'll put my link in the chat room. Okay. So Coach Mosley, I'm going to stop the slides real quick. And is it possible? Can you hear me?
Yes, I got you.
Okay, good. All right. I am I'm like, I want to stop the slides now because I'm ready to hear you talk. Yeah. There's been so much excitement with sports right now, and I just want to learn about you and hear your story. So can you tell us a little bit about you and your background and what got you in the coaching world, how you were raised, all that good stuff?
Yeah, well, first, just thanks for having me. Sounds like there's a lot more smarter people on this than myself, but I'm here myself to get educated as well. So, but ultimately, I'm a community college coach. I'm a community college professor. I think how we connected, just this popularity from this documentary. There's a Netflix documentary called Last Chance U. And with Last Chance U, there's a season 1 and season 2. And I think in that, there was some authenticity. I was, cold call. There was a cold call and asked me if I wanted to do a documentary. It was something I was not interested in. I was not interested in it, and of course, in documentaries, just to kind of educate you a little bit, there's really no income. There's just, they document you. And I think what's put behind it is, hey, we're documenting all of this content and who knows what's going to be out. So we can't really target. And that's something I'm going to share as we go along and how, being taken advantage of, being exploited with our student athletes that I work with. But not only that, but opportunities to capitalize on, you can reverse it and the exploitation as well. But they documented a whole season in the year 2019 through 2020. They documented, and what they do is they tell you, we don't know what's going to be on there. So we can't really, set any contracts for any specifics for any specific individuals. So this show comes out, Last Chance U, and what it's about is about these students that are going through, I guess, their last chance or second chance or first chance. right in the middle between high school and between college, we have the community college level, and that's where I'm at here at East Los Angeles College. And so they documented these young men and what they go through. We know the goal for all of our students and for all of our children, right, are to make sure that we can go to that four-year university right away. We try to get those SAT scores. We try to get everything right. The parents, we're trying to do everything we can to get our young people to those four-year universities. And sometimes it doesn't happen. Sometimes it's not always a bad thing, but here in our society, we say, hey, we want to be in the top university. We want to go as a freshman all the way to our senior year and then graduate and try to get into graduate school and so forth. But for some, that doesn't happen. And what I've dealt with was underprivileged young men. I coached them here at the community college, and they documented it. And it was some compelling stories. It was some authenticity. It was real raw. It showed some of the communities that these young men came from and some of the, the socioeconomic issues that they're dealing with. Some with, single parent homes, some with 2-parent homes, some with that are homeless. And predominantly, my whole team was African-American men, young men, and the issues financially that they were dealing with, homelessness and lack of food. And so they documented it, and we got a chance to see that in the 2 seasons, 2020 or 2019-20 season, and the 2021-22. Ironically, that year 21-22, the year 2021, that season was canceled because of COVID. And so they documented the year after, which was 21-22, and that was released in December of 22. And so we got a chance to see that. And I think with this series, to be able to come in and share some interesting things that we dealt with on our level, at the community college level. In most cases, when we look at sports, we look at what we see on television, right? Here in California, we got UCLA, USC, and we see how that draws from a media standpoint and all the different areas, how that draw and the funding and financial and all the other speakers that I'm pretty sure will be on this series will talk about different things like name, image, and likeness and how the athletes are generating income and what are they doing with the income. I'm at a unique level where there's really not much income generating opportunities, but because of this show, Last Chance U, it opened up a whole new world at this small level that like nobody pays attention to the community college student athlete. Nobody, let alone the community college student athlete that's at East LA College, kind of an inner city environment that's just outside the east side of Los Angeles. But it opened up this new world, not only for myself, but some of the student athletes. And myself grew up just like these young men. I grew up in the inner city. I went to local high school, South Central. I had to go to college. I went to community college myself. I'm trying to figure this all out. And I got highs and lows. I got good parents, and I have people in my life to help me here and there. And now I'm a family man. And now, I'm trying to figure it out just like everybody else here. Yeah. Financially, how to put it all together, but just in a unique spot right now, and may have a few things to share. Okay, now what made you get into the coaching world? Like, what was your original dream? What impact did you think you could have? And what did you see if you were a student athlete from your coach? Like all the whole circle of it. Yeah. So myself, initially, like everybody in their 15, 16, I'm going to be rich. I'm going to be a millionaire. My goal was by 30, and then that didn't happen. I said a millionaire by 40, and, still almost, didn't quite make it there. But as I go through college, I'll have to draw back to this whole thing kind of being a ministry for me. What happened, I believe, is I played basketball in college, got my education paid for by playing basketball. And then I traveled on a missions trip. I was at a Christian college, traveled on a missions trip. And as I traveled on the missions trip, I kind of saw people that looked like me. And I'm there helping them. I was in Brazil. And I looked and I'm like, I'm helping them. I've always taken on the leadership role, as a basketball player. I was like, hey, I love Magic Johnson. I grew up in LA. It's point guard skills, it's leadership skills, and I was always kind of in a leadership position. But I saw myself ministering to those that looked like me over there, and I said, why am I not doing this here in my hometown? Why am I not coming back and I'm doing this here? And immediately I started a program called Safe Through Hoops here in Los Angeles and ran it out of my local high school that I went to. But at the same time, I was working at a university, and the NCAA rules didn't allow me, because of recruiting violations, I could not engage with that group, that young group, because it was a conflict of interest. So I had to pull away from that. And as I started coaching at the university, I needed one class to finish, and my mentor said, hey, why don't you come back? Why don't you finish this class and help me coach? And I said, yeah, sure. But I'm going back to be an actor. I'm going to own my barbershop. I'm going to do this. I had like 5 things that I wanted to do. And then as I got into coaching, I saw the coach from the coaching side, and I saw that how I can pour into people, how I can mentor, how I can minister to people. And they were the same age as me, and there was still this family, this camaraderie. There was this environment of team that I just loved being a part of. And I kind of clung to that, and eventually he said, okay, I'll hire you. You look like you're into it. And that path, I went on from there and finished out there at the college that I was at, and went to a Division I university and saw it from that side. So I saw it from a small college side, which, there's different levels of income and way that you can look at it financially. But then there's a bigger stage that you have, right? And so I'm at the Division I level, where sports is seen at a different level. And then ultimately removed from that situation. And I wanted to go and spend more time with family. And I said, well, if I go the community college route and I teach there and I coach there, I can go home every night. I won't have to travel weekly. And a quick story, my daughter, she was 6 years old, and she met me at the door one day. I had all my bags. I'm traveling, and I walk through the door. I get home, and I'm like, woo, I finally made it home. And she says, Dad, you're staying at our house tonight. And so traveling in that world, moving all around, that broke my heart for my daughter to say that. She didn't think I stayed there.
Oh, wow.
I'm happily married. And, I'm a family man. And my daughter says, you're staying at our house, as if it's her house and it's not mine. And so that kind of broke me a little bit. And I decided, I wanted to, while at least my family was young, that I wanted to be at home more. So the community college route, where there's just local games, I get a little bit of both. I get the college competitiveness, but at the same time, I'm not traveling all over the place. I'm here, and this is why I'm here. And I get a chance to, be a college professor, and I'm teaching. It's a full load. And as I'm teaching a full load, you call me Coach Mosley. Not, the students call me Professor Mosley, which kind of irritates me. That's kind of corny to me, right? I'm Coach Mosley. But now I'm here, and I get this diverse group of young men and people that I come across, that they're all this diversity that I get a chance to try to impact the lives of.
So it sounds like your school has really created a good system around the athletes. Was that there before your appearance on the TV show?
Well, I think the show was trying to capture the real of what's really going on. And I think if it's really not a athletic situation, when we speak about the community college is built for the community, yes, and more for vocational and more for transfer and, to gain units and different things like that. It's not really built. I think the coaches have to take a special interest and say, you know what, I want to use this basketball more so than you see on television. Like UCLA is built to generate income. Yeah. They're, the television contracts, and, you have football and basketball on TV, and they're generating income through their television contracts. They're generating income through as they feed people in through the gate at the door, and they market their brand. But at the community college level, it's really not set up for athletics to be successful. It's just kind of almost like recreation. And so I think us coaches have to take a special interest. And I think that's what drew the Netflix team. And I think that's what they said, okay, let's find these schools that's taking a special interest in this small population. And let's really kind of go after that. And let's see what's happening there. as they're having success, and what does it take for them to have success, and what are the reasons why they're having success and why they're having failures in this particular group.
So are you saying with your great record, your university isn't financially profiting from that?
Well, we profited in a sense with the Netflix. They pay to film here on our campus, and it's really up to the campus if they want to share that with us. And there's been some conflict with that. So, but there's really no as much generating of income, but there is opportunity because of the show. The young men that have generated income or had opportunities because of it, which is rare at this level. It's so rare at the community college level to be able to generate income, but we had a unique situation. So it's been something that's been fascinating, and to see some of the young men take advantage, some not, some lose opportunities, some gain, and even myself to gain opportunities and to kind of pick and choose what opportunities we look at and see what can best benefit.
Okay. And thank you for allowing us to chat with you and teach and educate us about this world too. So in terms of the income, one of the things that we were talking about in our initial conversation is the change in the environment. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I remember Governor Newsom talking about this new area only a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And tell us what you saw that brought that on, because we had another speaker who told us what he saw. I would love to know, since you're in California, what did you see that brought that on and all that?
Yeah, well, there's here, well, at least where we're at, there's kind of three levels of this, adolescent or college level for these young men and these opportunities. There's kind of like this recreational level, where they have opportunities. All three levels is opportunities for these young men. There's kind of a recreational level where now we see there's creation happening. There's content happening. That's happening in terms of sports and athleticism. And then there's kind of a survival mode, a survival level, whether it's at the professional level or at the amateur level, where survival, where we're earning scholarships and we're trying to get a scholarship, we're trying to get an education. And then, from the professional level, they're just, trying to make a living. Myself as a coach or myself as a professional trying to make a living. So there is salary for that. But then there's this huge income generating level, which we talked about. There's this Power 5 level where there's television, where there's name, image, and likeness. There's these levels. And what's interesting is I think the purest level is the level that's getting left out, right? So there's this content level where there's a lot of income that's being generated, and who knows if that's sustainable or not, right? From just the content. Hopefully I don't offend anyone, but the way I look at it, a little bit of buffoonery. There's a lot of content. There's a lot of things that's being put out, and there's opportunities to make income. But is that sustainable? Is that model sustainable? Who knows? Of course, the sustainable model that's always been there is go get your education, get paid for teaching. Just this teaching opportunity, get your education, and then we build a career from there. Go into internships, maybe entrepreneurship. But then there's this other level that's happening that's blown up. So you got this amateur level, which I call it a little bit of a buffoonery level that's blowing up. And then we have this high performance level that's blowing up, where as college coaches, we have college coaches that are making millions, right? And we have our student athletes that's at this level that are making millions. But that's the highest level performers, the ones that are at our major universities. This is happening through name, image, and likeness, which now there's this law passed where the student athlete can make money just off of themselves, which I'm sure our speakers in other rooms will talk about. Our student athletes being able to make a large amount of money. I've seen student athletes now, they walk through the door making, six figures. We could be 100, 200, 300,000 just because of who they are, their name, their image, and their likeness realizing that the universities are going to make money off of them because they're going to be wearing their uniforms and they're going to be performing on their platforms. And a lot of the income is going to be because of the performance of the student athlete. And so that's the highest level, and that's where a lot of money is being generated. And I think that's a pretty sustainable model. I think the middle ground, where it's a survival level, where we're just getting, hey, let's get scholarship, let's get career, let's just teach, that level is sustainable. But who knows if kind of the rec level, where it's kind of buffoonery, where we got this content on television, and if that's sustainable. But we've opened up a new door, and I see a lot of our African-American males and females are using that platform. As we're seeing now in the NCAA tournament, I think even more so than the males, the young ladies are capitalizing off of this, this heightened level. And I count them in the category as the high performing category. They're in that high performing category as they performed on the highest stage, and they're getting the highest image likeness, and so now they're capitalizing off of that. So and here in California, we've made that a law to where our student athletes can draw income from that.
Yeah. Now, what do you think is the problem with actually having the athletes be able to be, and the coaches be able to be compensated from a percentage of the actual revenue generated from the tickets and all that good stuff? What do you see as the problem besides the university just making a little less money?
Yeah, there now is, I think, the student athletes was coming together. And I think me and you shared off, that there was a union trying to happen from the student athletes. And I don't think the universities wanted that. So there is some profit sharing now. That is happening. Yes, from income generating universities, from those large universities for the income generated. And now their student athletes are getting image and likeness money from the university as well as outside sources as well.
Okay.
So there are some universities that are doing that and say based on the income coming in. I mean, you look at a Zion Williamson that was at Duke University. Yeah. Now Duke University would always crowd their arenas, but there was even more of a likeness to see him because he was so highly touted out of high school. They really wanted to see him. He was on Channel 2. He was on the major network every Saturday afternoon. And you had to recognize that. And I think the universities recognize that. I think the student athletes, along with their lawyers in the last couple of years, made noise that, hey, we do need to see some of that. And we need to see a part of that. I think there's a sense to where now there's going to be, which always is, the have and the have-nots. Because if you look at the low performers and if there's no market for them, if there's not a revenue generate, if they're not coming to the gate and they're not coming just to see the student athlete, but they're coming because of the university, then where do we draw the line? For the lower performing student athletes, or the student athletes who aren't considered the 5-star or the 4-star, the student athletes that are considered maybe the 1 or the 2-star student athletes. So there's questions that we have about that. Like should they, are they warrant to get the same amount of income as the 5-star performing student athletes? And that's where the image and likeness comes in. So is your image and your likeness, what is your image and likeness worth versus what is your image and likeness worth? And
that makes sense.
And what is your name worth? And what is your name and your image and your likeness worth? Is that worth this amount, or is it worth this amount? And so this is where they say now you start to lose the have and the have-nots, and the universities will gain more because they can offer student athletes more at these higher universities. And so now the parity will start.
Oh, got it.
And the smaller universities will say, well, we can't offer as much because we don't have the television contracts. We don't have those different type things. So there's some interest there that could happen. I think this is a whole new world that we don't know about. And it's hard to say if it's going to even be sustainable. And there's always a greed factor. And I feel like there's always falling off of the cliff factor. And there's also another opportunity. Say, okay, we gave you what you want. So now the NCAA gave the student athlete what they wanted. But what is the NCAA going to come back? What are the colleges going to come back and say, now here's what we want since you got what you want? And so there's always that fear factor of something's coming up in that sense. But the student athletes are making a lot more than me right now, you know?
Yeah.
And my fear, the biggest fear, as you talk about education, is the student athletes not being educated. And as we go into this, the lack of how they kind of threw it at us. And unfortunately, it's fortunate but unfortunate, the ones who get the opportunity or getting the opportunity to make this huge amount of money are African-American performers. And it's usually in football and basketball, which generates the most income.
Yep.
So, you know, football and basketball have the majority of top performers are African-American males.
Yeah.
And African-American females. And that generates the most income when we talk about television contracts. That's across America. What's happening is our African-American males and females are being thrown a whole lot of money now without being educated on what's going to happen when you're no longer a student athlete at that university. So you look at the income that's being generated, and when you graduate with your college degree, what is your worth at that moment? Your worth at the university is, it's this amount of money. It could be worth, you know, you could be worth a couple $100,000 in those couple years that you're there at that university. But what's going to happen when you graduate from college and you're not a professional athlete? What's going to happen then when your worth? It's unfortunate. The worth may drop. You know, we never want to say that to our children, like your worth drops, but that worth may drop when you're no longer a student athlete on that campus. Now, what do you do with the income that you generated, and what do you do with that income, and what do you do with your net worth at that time when you graduate from college? And if you go into professional athleticism, that's phenomenal. Yes, your worth will grow. And now we're in a different category, and there's a different education that needs to go on. But there's a education that is not happening right now with our student athletes, and it's been thrown at us. I mean, it's been thrown at us in the last 2 years, and everybody's looking around. What do we do with this? And we got these 18 and 19-year-olds that's, you know, they're making $250,000 walking through the door in college, in addition to their college being paid for. And they don't know what to do with the money other than go buy a nice car and
a video game.
And a video game. But what's going to happen when you finish college if you're not a professional athlete? And you know what? Less than 1% are going to be professional athletes.
Well, you know what, Coach Mosley, I hear what you're saying, but you're talking to a person that was a model, right? So that what you're saying is how it worked in that career. And you also got to remember, and you might have to remind the students this, they're going to school to get an education. So when they get done modeling or being athletes, they go into what they got their degree in. Like,
absolutely. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, it's not
but I fear the emotional, you get that emotional factor in there where they said, I just made, you know, this, and this in my career. If I graduated as an educator, or then my entry level, you know, income may be less than six figures, and just dealing with that emotional transition and being able to transition financially and understand the cost of living and how do we live when our income drops, and how to start building that back up again is something that we have to have conversation about and make sure we educating our young people as they've been thrown this income at an 18-year-old age.
Yeah. And you know what I found out from being in the modeling world, that a lot of the people that I thought knew didn't know. And that's why I do what I do, because I would think it's really important that people know more. They know someone that's not getting a kickback from whatever group or all that good stuff. But I can tell you again, it's not abnormal. But I think it's so funny. You and the last speaker are both in the college world. And it's so funny how you guys talk about the need for education, but you're completely missing that you're at an educational facility.
Right.
Like, it's so
yes.
It's I was like, well, you know, you work at a university, right?
Yeah.
He's like,
Well, well, in a sense, in terms of protecting our young men, but there's so many. And I just had a conversation with a young man with a partner of a young man who was literally in the NCAA tournament game, and just talking about the trust factor, and on the front end, not even understanding how fast. Okay, so initially, how fast, and to be able to even partner with financial experts right away, even before they have the finances in their hand, right? So the lack of financial experts in hand right away, and how fast the money is coming in. That's kind of what I mean by needing the education of how fast it's happening. And it's almost a sabotage. I won't say a sabotage, but it's almost a sabotage. Like, here, take this. And they say, what do we do with it? Okay, let's find support. But by the time we figure out that we need help and we need support, the financial experts, it can, possibly be too late. Yeah. But in terms of educating, in terms of the understanding and sharing with our young man and myself, just being on the lookout for my finances, and myself and my wife being educators and understanding, it is something that as we see these young men from these socioeconomic backgrounds, and they get excited when they see something that they've never had, just understand that it not necessarily is going to last always, and you have to plan and you have to put it together to make sure. So no, that absolutely is going on. So I'm educating in that, but you're the expert in the details of what that money needs to go to and what areas we move our income to.
Absolutely.
I'm telling them they need to find people like you. That's what I'm telling them. They have to find people like you. I can tell them, okay, stop, pause, and let's make sure we plan, and let's count our costs, and let's take a look at what different areas we want to go into and what that future is going to look like, and what our careers are going to look like. And as we drive these young men, it's unfortunate that it's beating it into them and really getting them to understand, not just taking the short term, but looking at their long term. Just because a lot of them have never really had success, and when they've had this success, not knowing how to handle it, and just being able to share with them those things.
But that's not abnormal. I would say as Black folks in first generation immigrants and people of color who are their first blah blah blah, that's not abnormal to not know and not have anyone to ask, right? And that's one of the, and that's one of the realistic side effects of systemic racism, is that the wealthy in our communities have always been targeted. Wealthy communities have been targeted. It's been happening. So now it's always like we're starting over, and because there's such a lack of transparency with our history, it's like that movie Memento, where we're 5 minutes out, but we don't remember what happened 10 minutes ago.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. So this is one of the questions. He said, Coach Mosley, what type of financial success would you like to see your players and students attain? And what would you like to see them do with their money? What would you like to see folks do?
What I would like to see them, I think all of us, we talk about real estate being a sustainable model. So I always share with them about real estate. Real estate has worked out for me, but getting them to understand the value of the things that they purchase is like the first thing. That's like the first step that I'm always preaching to them when we're here. The value of what you're purchasing versus the value, what's going to hold value when we talk about real estate. When we talk about what's going to hold value is education. What's going to hold value is real estate. What's going to hold value is investing in yourself, and in a sense that not, when they get a financial aid check, I literally am on their heads every single time. They get a financial aid check, and sometimes the check comes in bulk, right? They'll get a $2,000 check. The first thing they go do is spend a quarter of that money on some overpriced, old, I won't say old, but Jordans. Yeah, vintage Michael Jordans that are like $405. So they spend a quarter of their money on some Jordans, and they come and they walk and they floss. And I'm saying the value of that versus the value of some property or just some financial education in terms of where we put money in the bank. And there is this movement where the young people are, I think they got our young people on these apps, and we're excited about stocks. And so there's this movement with that. I encourage all of that, but we got to remember broad is the way to, destruction, and narrow is the way. So we got to be educated so that we go the right way, instead of them taking all of our money on these apps. But I do encourage that, and I am excited that when some of our young men are looking at investment opportunities, but they're grabbing our kids as well, because they made it real accessible with the gambling, with the apps. And that's fool's gold with our young men as well, and our young people. The fool's gold is with these apps. They made it really accessible, really easy to gamble, spend $10 and try to gamble. So that's something that I discourage. But I would like for them to, number one, understand debt. Number one, understand the tragedy of debt and going into your livelihood or leaving out of college in debt, and how that can be a burden to even meet those goals. And that was something that I had to deal with as well. I wasn't financially educated. But what I did is I had an opportunity to see models around me. Like we say, I had opportunities to be around some people who made good money, and some people that didn't look like me, who, why is everything look so easy or seem, well, not all of them, because they can put on a facade, but and it's generational. They were family supported, and their families didn't allow them to go into debt and say, no, we're not taking out student loans. We're not here. We're going to pay so that you can start with a clean slate. And
that was an option. That's, other cultures have great options because they're not getting punched in the face by systemic racism, and it's so, I was like you, and I'm sure we're around the same age, but I was like you. I'm like, why don't we have this? And then I started looking at it, and I'm like, oh, okay. So we got redlining, we got high credit, we got predatory lending, we got these payday loans, then we got lower wages, we got basically slavery on jobs, then we got people that were wealthy being lynched, and then areas being set on fire, and those insurance companies didn't pay. So it's like, and then we got Bruce Beach, what was Bruce Beach last year when they, the county of Los Angeles had that family sell back that beach that easily should have been worth over $240 million for $20 million. So until we, in my opinion, we start having honest conversations about our enemy when it comes to creating wealth, we're not going to be able to get from point A to B, because we have a lot of roadblocks, and the game of America is pretending like everything's equal.
Yeah, no, there's a ton of barriers. I mean, I can go on and on. My first purchase property, I don't want to put her name out there, but my wife's name is LaShonda. And I mean, we initially went into one of the, our first property. I was like, oh, this is amazing. We got a pool. It's 3-level. I'm thinking like, how are we going to do this? This is amazing. And we were front runners. And then once we put an offer and they saw her name being LaShonda, it kind of changed. And all of a sudden that offer was shut down. And me blindly didn't realize, my real estate agent said, yeah, that's called racism, and didn't want us in the area and ownership in that area. And that was going to be income generating property that we were looking at. And so there are those barriers where we said, this is going to be easy. Let's do this. This is going to be easy. But then a barrier was created. We ended up getting another piece of property, which wasn't as like lucrative. We had to move forward in our growth. But we just dealt with it. And it goes on. And small story, 60s, my parents came out here from my mother, my mom and dad, they passed. But my aunt, my parents were the first ones to come out here. Everybody else was in Chicago. Mom and dad, everybody came and moved with my mom and dad until they got it together, in the 60s. Nice. So there was like 4 families at our house that my parents brought in the 60s in South Central, inner city. They were the first ones to do it. That house initially was probably worth up for sale for $15,000, right? That's $15,000. There's 3 bedrooms, maybe 1,600 square foot home, right in the inner cities, $15,000. And just to, share the some of the barriers that we go through. Mom and dad, no children at the time out here in the early 60s. They asked, was she childbearing? They both worked, and they did not want to grant her a loan because if she was childbearing, that meant that she wouldn't be working. And so my mom, in order to get the loan for the house, and it breaks my heart and I almost got tears to my eyes, she had to get a note, which she wasn't childbearing. She had to get a note from the doctor saying that she couldn't bear children. Wow. And she got that note, and they were allowed her to get the home. But after she went through the process, it was almost like earnest money that they taxed on another. It was like the house ended up being $20,000, which would be like, almost paying $100,000 more for a home. After they told you the house is worth $600,000, that's like say, okay, we're going to give you this house, but I need this letter to say that you can't bear children, and then also we're going to tax you $150,000 more on the house. But they got in, and that's just what we dealt with. But that was all it's something that they went through. But ultimately, that was something that they fought and got through, and we continually fight, and we have those barriers, and they continue to challenge us, and they challenge our young men. And the young men
challenge us.
Yes.
We're still here.
We're still here. We're still being challenged. There's still barriers. And the reason why I talk about this income coming in is because it kind of gives us a Band-Aid, and they give, I think, our young people just this content creator money, and they give us this and it's not real wealth, in my opinion, right now. No. And so, we do have to have the discussion, realize what's happening, and start to break down some of these barriers. I like to move in silence.
Me too.
I love to move in silence. So I like to sit there and smile at somebody and get what I need and keep moving, So I'm going to fight, but that's the way I'm gonna fight. I'm not afraid of conflict, but you won't find me on the front lines, but I'm gonna smile and get what I need to get and kind of move. And I think us as a group, as a people, I think for me, I think, just, being able to move in that way, but we have to do it together though. We have to do it as a group and collective. We can't be against each other. We can do anything, we can accomplish anything, but we have to do it together. And we have to, no one's perfect. No one's, none of us, there's a handful of people. If you guys spent the hour with me, I can seem like a great guy. A third of you will say, oh, I don't like him. And, a third will say, I love him. And a third of you will say, I can tolerate him. Right. And I think even with that, we just have to come together, realizing there's some people we're not going to like. There's some people we can tolerate and some people we can love. And we just got to come together and create, break down barriers. And we got to be strategic and figure out how to go in there.
Strategic.
Yeah. You got the front line. You got the sniper. You got this, you got that. And figure out how we can attack together as a group. I'm talking about Black males, Black females. I'm talking about all of us. And, I think society and media focuses, we started to point again, Black males and Black females are pointing the guns at each other. Like, no, we need to come together and we need to move forward.
And honestly, quiet as it's kept, not only do we need to come together, but we also need to lead America, because what's good for us is good for everyone. It's not an accident that America, all our civil rights that we fought so hard for has made America so great for people from other countries. But meanwhile, systemic racism and the people, that white supremacy, anti-Black mentality still makes it not good for us, right? So I think the biggest problem is our young people thinking racism doesn't exist, but the young people were also the ones marching a lot during the BLM. The young people were also the ones in Tennessee fighting that guy who said lynching should be legal again. It's amazing because there's just not that type of traditional leadership. But if it was up to me, I would be similar to you, where we can just have different leaders who are, yes, you're in the back and that's your team. I'm over here. This is my team. And then we're all coordinating, and we're getting the laws changed. We're not reforming prison. We're preventing prison. We're not just looking at sentences and getting people out of jail. We're looking at everyone that was involved in those sentences, and we're putting them in jail, right? Like it's such a, you know. Oh, before we go, let's talk a little bit about Angel Reese and the basketball, the women's championship. So tell me your thoughts on that and all of it, from her, from all of these newscasters and the sports media. I had no idea that I should have had some conversations about the sports media, because they are, oh my goodness. So tell us what you thought.
Yeah, just as we see now, I just think our sports media world, and not just sports media, but our media world, it just drives the narrative on everything. And so if it's an opportunity to generate income for themselves or for viewership, then they'll drive the narrative. And that narrative was driven. There was a competitive nature that's no different than it's ever been. But I think they've just given the student athletes a little bit more of a platform. They've not silenced them as much, and they've given them an opportunity to have this platform. And we saw good-natured competitiveness. But you know what? Sometimes our media can drive it and say, well, she doesn't like her, she doesn't like her. You can say, hey, it's white versus black. You can do all of that. It's good-natured competitiveness. And between Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, it's competitive. It's just straight competition. When you're competing with basketball or with any sport, I've competed alongside, I've sweat blood and tears with a white man, with white players, and we bonded together and we hooped and we played, or with Hispanics or with all colors. Sports is diverse. It's our media that drives these narratives, you know?
Yeah, it wasn't the sports. It was really a lot of what I saw was misogynoir. I saw adultification. I saw, of course, white supremacy. I saw a lot of things that we saw a few years ago when that one newscaster called I believe the Rutgers teams nappy-headed, you know, bleeps. Yeah, but we didn't jump in like we did this time. Everybody jumped in, and it was all hands on deck, because there were so many people. There were people attacking her in her Instagram, on her Twitter. There were grown men, grown women, very similar to grown men, grown women attacking Emmett Till and all the kids that, you know, there's this adultification that goes on with our babies where they're not babies anymore. They're grown people, and these grown folks can hurt them and talk and keep talking until they get hurt. I'll stop talking now. Go ahead.
Well, you know what? And that's what we talk about, this high level of platform. So they're saying, okay, if we're going to give you this, if we're going to give you this money, then this is what comes with it, you know? So there is, in some ways, and I try to share with my children, and it's, in some ways, it's almost like you can't say, well, that's what's coming. But this is what the media, there's this high level of platform. And if you're going to be compensated for the good, then they're going to attack you. And
Well,
I think,
good.
yeah, if you're going to be compensated for all the good and all the great, then anything that creeps in there, you have that same spotlight on you. So they have the spotlight for all this great performance and all the great, and they're going to be compensated for it. You know, Caitlin Clark has a Nike contract, like a big Nike. She's a millionaire already, right? You have, you know what I'm saying? Because of her performance. But at the same time, when she does this and Angel Reese does this, and they have a conversation about it, that's what you get when you're getting paid $1 million, and when you're on this media platform, and when you you have these conflicts. And yes, we are doing it to our children, but we're at the same time we're paying them. And I'm not saying we shouldn't pay them. We should pay them, and they shouldn't have to deal with this. But if you're getting paid because you're on this platform, because of your image and likeness, then the repercussions of that is that anything, you know, now we want to say, okay, something kind of goes wrong. Okay, now let's turn off the video camera. Let's let them have their privacy. in some ways it's a two-way street. That's where the education needs to happen, where, okay, now here's what's going to happen. You get this platform, we get this income generating machine, but at the same time, it can go the opposite way as well. And that's where education needs to happen with our babies. And we guide our babies, and we need to help our babies through that. But if we're not going to protect them from the $1 million or the hundreds of thousands and allow them to get that, but then try to shut the faucet off when, they may make a mistake, it goes hand in hand. Or we can, remove them from both. And they make a mistake, we protect them. We protect them from, the overcompensation. And that's kind of what happened in the past. I choose that with my children. My children, I really monitor. None of us had social media up until I made this show. And then I use it for opportunities now. But, I finally allowed my daughters to be public only because they play sports. And now it allows them for that. And then allows them to get exposure to colleges, not necessarily to be exploited, but for colleges to see them as legitimate student athletes for scholarships. Absolutely. But it stops there. It stops there. We're not looking for, I'm not allowing my children to get out there and shake and overcreate content. Now, when they move out of my house, they can do all that. But right now it's like, nah, the purpose of it is to gain opportunities for college, not to, you don't want to be TikTok, millionaires right now. At least while you're in my house, we're going to push you towards getting a college education and going.
I like that. Yeah. And you know what, me as a finance person, I don't think there's a such thing as overcompensation. And if it is, I would say it's probably Jeff Bezos, not these athletes. Or what's Elon Musk? Yeah. Though that would be overcompensation. Playing these kids, I'm fine with it. But you know what? You're so right in terms of that exposure. And that's one of the things that I'm really appreciating about the Black community and people who understand how America works now, because before there were a lot of people who just weren't present. Now people are present. And you guys, we're shutting it down now, so there won't be any questions because we got to jump off. But now people are present. So when those predatory type, laced in racism and misogyny and all these other things happen, we as a community have to come, because it's almost like we have to correct America until the legal system, until the political system catches up, because it's not going to catch up on its own. It's like we have to do the same things that our forefathers were doing in the 60s. Yeah, we got to boycott until the bus companies change their platform. We got to get on these newscasters until they realize you don't do that. You don't say nothing about Black girls and start calling them anything. And I like that. We'll keep doing it. We got it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
All right, Coach. It was such a pleasure. Thank you so much. And you and I have some talking, because there are some people that want you on their radio shows. Okay. And I would love to help you and help you promote us and all that good stuff. So you guys, I'm sorry we didn't get as many questions, but he has such great stuff to share. So have a good one, you guys. Goodbye, everyone. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You guys, we're going to close it out. Coach, anything you want to say last?
No, it was great. Let's just continue to come together. Let's continue to work to, empower what we need to do to be successful as a people.
Thank you. Goodbye, everybody.